Welcome to Chapter 8's mission, everybody. We're here to investigate a mysterious disease in Re-mire Village that has now spawned a bizarre riot. As far as our units are concerned, we're basically continuing our objectives from the Lawrence Paralog. I want Byleth, Claude, and hopefully Cyril to reach level 20, so that at the beginning of the next chapter, they can promote to Warlock, Warrior, and Wyvern Rider. Each of them is a little bit short of the necessary skill levels, and they all want to master one more intermediate class. Claude finished Brigand in the last map, so he's now a mercenary. Brigand offered him a bigger bonus to skill gains with axes, and its mastery ability is more immediately useful, but Vantage from Mercenary will be an integral part of his skill set pretty soon. Ignatz also mastered Brigand, so he's back in Thief. You don't really need a Thief to open the two chests on this map, but I have him, so I might as well use his free lockpicking capabilities. The ability to walk over hazardous terrain with no penalties is kind of useful too. Byleth's leading the Gloucester Knights, the battalion we got as a reward from Lawrence's Paralog. I'm finally starting to make him a legitimate mage with a battalion that actually helps his magic. Lysithea is carrying Thyrsus. It'll be really useful when fighting across some of the rough terrain on this map. Adjutants this time are Balthus on Cyril, just because Cyril's going to do a lot of fighting, Hilda on Claude for the link bonus, and Flayn on Byleth, also for the link bonus. I didn't mention this before, but I want to point out that I'm making Flayn hold an axe while she's working on Pegasus Knight Mastery. Given that she already reached D+ in axes to qualify for Armored Knight, and she's getting flying skill naturally as a Pegasus Knight, the best physical advanced class for her to unlock is Wyvern Rider. That'll give her a ton of strength, virtually eliminating the weight of her spells. In this battle, you're supposed to protect the 6 green villagers from the 6 insane enemy villagers trying to kill them. To reach the ones at the southeast corner, remember I just rotated the camera so we're facing south, you pretty much have to send a flyer in that direction. The woods and fiery floor tiles are too big a hindrance for anyone else. The 2 chests have a giant shell and a horse slayer. I think that's everything, so let's dive right in. As usual, stride first. The starting formation is pretty compact, so this one covers everyone but Claude. I'm going to send Petra down the left side by herself. The rest of my forces will be split between the central wooded area, where most of the enemy villagers are concentrated, and the western part of the village, with its 2 green units to save. Using Assembly, Cyril forces a villager to attack him on enemy phase so he can get a kill. Yes, he's ending his turn in the fire, but that's the direction closest to his next destination. The March Ring allows Ignatz to run all the way over here, where he can use his own gambit to protect the green villager. Switching to the Golden Deer Bracelet maximizes his accuracy. He's now 6 tiles from the chest, so when he re-equips the March Ring, he'll be able to reach it next turn.
I got this.
I want Byleth in as many fights as possible. I also want to prevent the 2 enemy villagers in the middle of town from charging right at Geralt and getting killed by all my allies. The shortest warp ever takes care of that. Note that I don't want to go south of these trees yet. While that would allow Byleth to fight 2 people, it would also let the allied soldiers clog up the path. The rampaging villager near Petra can't reach his intended target on the first turn. For that reason, instead of attacking him directly, Petra can destroy the nearby barricade and wait to the south, letting him attack her first. That way, she can take fewer hits overall and begin turn 2 closer to the villagers that are farthest from the starting area.
Watch and learn.
I want Claude to join Byleth as fast as possible so that he can get boosted XP and also share the knowledge gem. Marianne can pull a soldier out of the way so that Claude can run down through the forest. Byleth now steps south one more space. I'm going to leave Leone in range of the Armored Knight, and that'll cause all the enemies around Tomas to march north, so it's better to damage the villager to the south. That path will be clear after enemy phase. Raphael's fading blow leaves the kill for Cyril. I'm going to give this giant shell to Byleth, the one unit who didn't get the benefit of Armored Knight bases. He'll see a ton of battles throughout the run, so he gets a lot out of additional defense. Petra avoids an attack from the villager by using Tempest Lance. From here, she is also able to fly south far enough to block the next rampaging villager. I do not want Byleth to kill the villager to the right if I can avoid it, but Petra's move gives me an option to manipulate my luck. Instead of using Tempest Lance, I can just have her double attack for the kill. The downside is that Petra has to risk more damage, and on this solo mission down the eastern corridor, she has no healing support whatsoever. She does have pretty good chances to dodge all these villagers, but some of them are bound to hit, and she'll be too busy to heal herself. Now that the villager has survived, Claude gets to keep boosting that axe rank. The urgency in hitting B+ rank comes from the fact that my chances of passing my exams improve dramatically if I have multiple weekends to attempt them. If Byleth and Claude can reach B+ in the first week next month, they'll have 2 chances to pass before I do any battles. Claude has also crossed the trigger that makes Solon appear. It's the whole 11th row of tiles counting down from the north.
Much needed. Stay focused.
The enemy Fortress Knight has a Silver Axe and the Diamond Axe art. Together they will cripple Claude, dropping him low enough for the archer to kill. But if I make Claude hold the evasion ring, then Diamond Axe is so inaccurate that the AI doesn't try it.
I stand ready.
Let's get to it.
As long as Claude doesn't take all that extra damage, the soldier in the open makes great bait for the enemy archer.
I thought...
Ready anytime. Ready when you are.
I got this.
Raphael's shove not only pushes Cyril toward the next enemy villager, it also lets Marianne draw him back in a way that gets her onto the fire without costing her a ton of movement. That makes 3 villagers down and 3 to go.
Tomas!
Solon sheds his Tomas disguise, and the Death Knight shows up with some friends. Weirdly, as long as no one's in his attack range, Solon runs toward the Death Knight. Be careful though. Like Hubert, Solon has Death Gamma, a spell with 1 to 3 range.
Nice try.
Some nice dodges made that enemy phase go even better than I expected. Luna can't double, so Lexithia can use it to attack the Fortress Knight without killing. that's level 20 for Claude. Still, I need him to keep using those axes. Byleth is really close to leveling up too. The unit who most needs experience is now Cyril. Byleth, Claude, and Lysithea are headed toward the Death Knight. Lawrence and Leone will push down the central pathway towards Solon's starting area. Eventually they'll confuse Solon's pathing, causing him to run back and forth a little bit. That'll buy me just a little bit of extra time to feed more kills to Cyril.
That's all.
Now that Leone has mastered Archer, I can quickly put her through Brigand next month to essentially complete her build. Petra uses her gambit to pull the enemy villager away from the wounded green one, who would otherwise die on enemy phase. 2 villager reinforcements appear on this turn. One comes from the house near Marianne, and she can block the way to one of our allied soldiers by waiting on the fire. The shove and draw back combo also puts Ignatz in a good spot.
I think not.
If no one's in his range, the Death Knight doesn't advance very quickly, only a couple of tiles at a time. Because the southeastern villager stands in a forest, there's a lot of variance in terms of the amount of damage he takes and also where exactly he chooses to move. He's usually smart enough to keep himself alive for a while though. The villager who starts north of him tends to die much quicker.
This is bad.
Lawrence and Leone support each other really well here. With Heartseeker, Lawrence gives Leone perfect accuracy against the villager in the forest. Then, after a switch to her mini-bow, Leone gives Lawrence perfect accuracy against the mage. Same deal as usual, don't want to crit, so I'm going to rewind and change my move order. I'm being super anal about this kind of thing because that's sort of the point of this run. I'm trying really hard to make sick builds as soon as possible. A bunch of viewers have said in the comments that they've learned a lot from watching this series, and I really hope you have. But if you're watching because you want to learn how to handle Maddening difficulty for the first time, you should focus on the tactics, the way I come up with plans to handle difficult situations. Don't worry so much about every little scrap of experience I'm clawing out of these missions. Optimizing that to the degree that I'm doing it is a way to make the game harder on yourself, not easier.
This is bad.
I stand ready.
The last friendly villager is healthy enough to take another hit, so Petra can simply attack the enemy rather than use a gambit or swap the green unit to safety. Still, there are some options to weigh. Attacking from a distance with a bow might let Petra reunite with some of my other units more quickly later on, but I do also want to keep working on her lance rank while Pegasus Knight is boosting her gains in that skill. Now that crit is a real problem. As soon as all the villagers are saved, Geralt starts moving, and I definitely don't want that to happen yet.
I will get the victory.
After thinking about it for a while, I eventually resort to the gambit. Petra has to move away afterwards so she doesn't kill the rampaging villager too soon.
Stay focused.
Ready when you are.
Next turn, when the Death Knight comes down the stairs, I'm going to want Claude to act first. Lysithea transfers the Knowledge Gem over to Marianne, who can move it to a location that Claude can reach.
Thank you.
Of course, when I was actually doing this, I was thinking on the fly about what I'd want to do first, so I took a moment to decide whether Claude or Byleth should have the gem.
Ready anytime.
I got this.
Thank you.
Ignaz's attack activates the Mercenary. That merc still won't break down the barrier on his own, but once I do it for him, he'll start moving. He wouldn't do that if Ignaz hadn't shot him first. Now there's a juicy target for Assault Troop if I've ever seen one. Wait, Green Villager, no! Don't run toward the enemy.
This is bad.
I move Leonie only 4 spaces so that Lawrence can still reach her.
I stand ready.
So nice of you.
Petra attacks the Armored Knight in the back. If you don't activate him early like this, he's kind of hard to get to before you kill Solon. My main formation allows a good second stride that will let me bring everything to bear against the Death Knight.
Thank you.
The reason to move Claude first is so that he provides linked attacks against the Death Knight, and I can still move the Knowledge Gem around for Byleth to grab it later. Ignaz comes in to take another pot shot, but also to move the Knowledge Gem 1 space to the north. Now Byleth can take it before he uses Assault Troop. And that's level 20 for him.
We must all do our...
Had she not gained magic earlier, Lysithea would have been just a tiny bit short of a clean one-shot kill on the Death Knight. Byleth's Gambit more than covered that margin.
What does he want?
The only enemy in this bunch that can still move is the Priest, and he can only attack from the forest south of Claude, or from the stairway after Cyril kills the Cavalier. Cyril's using a melee weapon, but the Priest will have no way to attack him at range. Raphael uses his bow to let the mercenary out.
Yep.
Petra has attracted Solon's attention. If things had worked out a little differently with a southeastern villager, and she hadn't been able to reach the Armored Knight yet, he would still have turned around to go after Leonie and Lawrence.
Feel like
Across the last paralogue in this mission, Byleth has held the Knowledge Gem so much that he's already about to master Dark Mage.
that's helpful.
Poison Strike usually isn't that useful. Intuitively, it looks like it'd be really helpful if I want to leave enemies at minimal HP for one of my weaker units to kill, but in my experience, Poison Strike only seems to matter in the opposite scenario. When I'm in a desperate situation and I need to maximize my action economy, the poison damage can potentially save an action against a really tough enemy. Fusillade can pin down the mercenary and the archer. I'm trying to limit the enemy's options. As long as the archer's locked down, I have a lot of control over what happens next. Ignatz can take the Knowledge Gem when he uses his Gambit, but it's a risk because without the Golden Deer Bracelet, his hit rate drops by 10.
Can we help?
I'm gonna fish for a better roll by making Petra move first.
I will get the
Now that the last villager is badly wounded, she has to go ahead and kill his assailant.
We've rescued.
There are ways to position Leonie and Lawrence here to make Solon go back to the west, which is what I want, because I want to give Cyril the boss kill. But his exact criteria for deciding which way to go are still mysterious to me.
get to it.
It's not simply distance-based, since no one in my main group on the west side of the map will be less than 12 tiles from Solon, whereas everyone in the east will be within 10.
Anytime.
Petra's just 7 spaces away as the crow flies. So I'm experimenting on the fly here, operating on the assumption that Solon's decision tree factors in the cost of different terrain. From past experience, I know that 11 movement points of distance seems to be a threshold value.
Ready and willing.
Now that Ignatz's gambit has succeeded, the next decision falls to Claude. It makes sense to kill the archer since he can attack my units without retaliation and the mercenary is no longer a threat. But if I'm trying to feed Cyril, it's going to be harder for him to kill the mercenary in the forest next turn because of Axebreaker. Remember, Cyril's short of the skill requirements for his advanced class too. I want him to use axes when possible. I make up my mind to kill the merc now and let the archer live. He'll attack Cyril as long as Cyril can't retaliate, because his hit rates are worse against the other 3 people he can reach. Once Cyril kills the priest, he'll open that tile for the cavalier to move into, so he'll face 2 attacks on enemy phase. At full health, he can take those. And that's enough to make Balthus Master Brigand.
I got this.
Another enemy villager should spawn from that house, but at this point I don't know whether he appears at all if an allied soldier is blocking the usual spawn point. And if he does, I don't know where he shows up. And I'm pretty sure he would just attack the green units, but in case he shows up at some other location, I want Raphael to be ready.
Careful.
Thinking about it some more, I'd love it if Marianne and Raphael could somehow move the green units out of the way so that the villager would have to attack one of my units, but I don't really see a way to pull that off, given that I also need them to stay close to the stairs so they can move up later. I end up making a half-hearted attempt with Raphael's shove. As it turns out, spawn blocking does work here, so no villager comes out of that house. But Solon went the wrong way. I'll have to try something different.
No point.
Let's get to it.
I got this. Ready anytime. Let us help.
I stand ready.
The tile Leone has moved to is equally far from Solon as the one I tried before, at least when terrain is factored in. But apparently not all plain grassland tiles are created equal, because this one is going to work. Maybe there's something more complicated going on, I don't know. If you're looking for ways to manipulate enemy movement, I recommend sticking to strategies that involve actually putting someone in their attack range. Of course, I could have completely avoided all of these problems if I weren't insisting on moving people up to kill that one armored knight.
Got him.
You better be careful.
Now that I know I'm not going to see a villager come out of the nearby building, I can just make Raphael wait. I like these crescent sickles. They're worse than silver lances, but they have a ton of durability to use on expensive lance combat arts, and they're free. It's hard to argue with that.
I'm not hurt too bad.
There may only be one archer in the way, but the terrain between me and Solon makes it pretty complicated to move everyone up far enough to reach the boss next turn. And I do want to fight Solon exclusively on player phase. Otherwise, his crit rate with death gives him a decent chance to kill someone. As part of that, I'm trying to work out whether I can have Cyril kill the archer from range in order to get Violet's experience boost. Leaving him downstairs would make it a lot harder to reach Solon later, though.
stay focused. Appreciated.
Ignatz is going to visit the Horseslayer chest. Along the way, he can shove Byleth over so that another foot unit can get up the stairs.
Leave it to me.
Well done.
Marianne and Raphael won't reach Solon, but they will be able to use their movement arts to help others out next turn.
I'm sorry. I will get the victory.
This is an unusual circumstance where Petra took no damage, so Lawrence has no one to heal right now. Kind of a shame. Using Break Shot now will allow Leone to deal damage to the knight on enemy phase in spite of Armored Blow. And this is when I discovered that spawn blocking simply delays the villager's arrival by a turn. Claude can reach Solon, and so can Byleth, but Cyril cannot, at least not with an axe. Leading off with a gambit will make it a lot easier to handle Solon's attacks.
You were but a...
I'm going to all these lengths to kill off one armored knight, mainly for Petra's sake. Leone already finished Archer after all, and Lawrence isn't even getting reason points out of this because he's just healing. But I would like for Petra to master Pegasus Knight soon, and because I'm building her into a dodge tank, her skill ranks matter to a degree that other people's don't. For most units, I care about the prowess abilities for their hit bonuses, but hit plus 20 makes the higher tiers a little less relevant. In the case of a Void, a few extra points from higher prowess ranks can matter a lot more. There are fewer sources of avoid than of hit, and a dodge tank is going to do most of its work on enemy phase, when I have a lot less control over the outcomes and I can't use features like linked attacks to improve my odds. Also, Petra's dodge tanking won't become truly reliable until she gets all the way to A+ in flying. That's one of the highest skill requirements that's really going to matter over the course of a typical run. Sure, there's crit plus 10 at the S ranks for weapon skills, but most units aren't going to do crit builds, and other abilities like Wrath are both more accessible and more powerful. At S+, you get weapon fairs, but if you get there at all, you'll do it so late that they hardly matter. S Reason for extra magic range is probably the only higher skill rank that makes a big difference. By making Claude equip a bow, Byleth removes his link bonus, so he does 2 less damage when he attacks. With fire, he won't kill Solon even if he crits or gets the bonus damage effect from his crest. Using Nosferatu, he won't kill even if he crits twice and activates the crest bonus.
Ah, the... Thank you.
Thanks to the combined efforts of Marianne and Raphael, Cyril can reach the forest next to Solon for the final kill. That is indeed enough to get him to level 20. Next time we see Cyril, he'll be riding a dragon. Wyvern Rider will give him 18 innate strength too, erasing his one real weakness. That's it for the Re-mire Calamity. We saved all the villagers for the maximum reward. This battle was a little bit messy because I went out of my way to boost Cyril. Hopefully he'll make it worth the effort. In Chapter 9 I'll earn A+ Professor level, so we're going to do 3 battles in one weekend, starting off with the long overdue quest. I'll see you there.